decided to resurrect normal township, which of course is there's no such thing in this state.
Yes, there is.
And if I got there actually is a normal township. That's right. But years past, we always used to do a skit, and we one of those workshops, and they got sicker and sicker and sicker. They were just awful, because they were full of bad jokes, and it was just terrible. So we quit, and so now we figured we better resurrect this thing for some reason. So does anybody know the history of the annual meeting? We know why we do this? I'm getting a little older, but I'm not this old. 1635. 1635, Dorchester, Massachusetts, the first town meeting. And we've been doing it ever since. And so it is a really unique form of government, in that the people in the district, people in the town, people in the township got together and had their own meeting. Of course, in the 1600s, it was the church elders. It was the church group that got together, and they formed they tithed themselves and they taxed themselves, and this was a self-governance. And so as they fought the revolution, and we had colonies, and pretty soon states and counties and all that, cities. But the townships and the towns kept going, and so coming across the continent, and our state 1889, South Dakota 1889, we kept the township concept, and it is still one of the most unique forms of government in the world, probably. What's different about it? What's the same? People still gather once a year, and you formulate your own budget, and you tax yourselves. Nobody else does that. City councils, county commissions, school boards, you elect somebody, state legislators, you elect them and they tax you. But townships, you tax yourselves, and that's really quite a remarkable thing when you think about it. So how do you run an annual meeting? Well, I know how you run your annual meeting. I get that. I've been to my own. And sometimes they're nowhere near what the book says. And so I get that. I understand that. Every March I get some calls. I get a lot of calls in March for the annual meeting stuff, who can vote and all that kind of stuff. But there's always a couple townships that are having some big troubles. They have a controversy. It's a excess tax bill. They want, and it's evenly divided between the people. They're grinching at each other. They're fighting with each other. We've had supervisor elections. Yes, we've had supervisors contested elections, and it ends up being 6-4, or whatever, and they're kicked off at each other, and it's usually something going on, some personality thing, what's going on. And what happens there, if you have a controversial situation, those people are looking over your shoulder, and they're going to say, "You're not running this meeting correctly." And of course, they're right. And so consequently, we've had some situations where we had to redo annual meetings because they weren't running it correctly. And so I guess part of this is, like I said yesterday, my dad told me, you can't throw the book out the window until you know what's in the book, right? So we're going to try to do things correctly here. And you'll say, what the heck are they doing? Well, I'll stop once in a while and say, well, this is what the law says. I understand maybe not what you do, but this is what the law says. And once again, if you got somebody looking over your shoulder, that's when it's pretty important to make sure you're doing things correctly. So, Charlie the clerk, I think you can start.
Normally, it's nice to start your meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, of course. Well, then the clerk opens the meeting, not the chairman of the board of supervisors. The clerk does this. The supervisors are actually just another township president. They have no special authority at the annual township meeting. So the clerk starts the annual meeting of normal township. It's now called to order. The first order of business is the election of 3 judges for this meeting. All present at the meeting have signed the poll list, and it appears that all present are township residents. Also present via phone from Arizona is Rodney. Oh, I thought you were in Arizona.
Ask him if he can hear you. Ask Rodney if he can hear you on the phone. Ask him. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Hello? Hey, here.
Who, as you all know, is a township resident? Rodney, are you willing to allow your votes to be heard over the phone?
Yes.
And if this is a written ballot, such as when we elect officers, do you waive your right to vote secretly at those times?
Yep.
There we go. Now, we will now select our judges for today's meeting.
I nominate Frank, Charlie, and Betty to act as judges and who may be elected by acclamation.
I second the nomination of Frank, Charlie, and Betty to act as judges, and they be elected by acclamation.
Any other nominations? If not, all in favor of Frank, Charlie, and Betty serving as judges for this year's meeting, say aye. Opposed, say no. Carried. Frank, Charlie, and Betty, do you accept the position and duties of the
Yeah.
Frank, Charlie, and Betty? Did you accept the position and duties of election judges for this annual meeting?
Yes, that's.
Normally, you now go through oath while supporting the Constitution.
Go ahead and give it to him. Run. Go ahead and give the oath.
Read it. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, your name.
Yeah.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of North Dakota, and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of election judge in and for Normal Township to the best of my ability.
I do.
Nominations are now open for the position of moderator for the annual meeting.
I nominate Martha to moderate here for this annual meeting, Normal Township.
Are there any further nominations? If not, I declare nominations closed. All in favor of Martha being moderators of Normal Township, say aye. Opposed, say no. Asked, Martha is the moderator, and I will now turn the meeting over to the moderator.
Okay, and then I'll stop and Barb gets on up there, I'll stop for a second, okay? So.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
My interpretation of the century code was that the moderator was chosen before the judge.
No. Sit down, I got it. He was a perfect statement, because I was just gonna talk about that. It's a great question,
You're welcome.
No, great question, yeah. Here it is, okay? So, the law is this, the electors of the township annually assemble. And hold this meeting in the beginning month of March, you know that since 1889, that statute said third Tuesday in March. Last session, we changed it to any day in March, okay? So that's the change, and at the place in the township or an adjacent township designated. So you can meet in the, you can meet in the next door township, okay? You can meet in the city that's within your township, okay? So you can do that. Notice the time, place, blah, 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 10 days before the publication in the legal newspaper, okay? Well, can't we just notify and call them back to call and make a postcard? And I have heard all that stuff. I get that, right? But there's the law. Okay, you have to publish it in the county newspaper, in the official newspaper. Okay? If you don't have a newspaper published in your county, then you got to use that county paper. Okay, and so some county papers now are gone as well. So it's the adjacent county paper. I know up in Pembroke, you guys lost your student Cavalier now. Yeah, you're in Langdon paper, I think, or whatever. But so that's a problem. You know, it's a problem, but that's where the notice, you have to have some official paper and it's gotta be published there. Okay? Doesn't matter if people get the paper or not. Your job is to put it there. It's their job to find it. Okay, so don't worry about whether it's not a marketing tool. Because if it was a marketing tool, you go on the 6 o'clock news and say our township meeting's tomorrow, and that's a marketing tool. But this is a legal publication, so you've got to have it. Okay. Qualified electors present on the day of the annual meeting must be called to order by the township clerk, not the chairman. If the township clerk is not present, they may elect by somebody to act as chairman for the purpose of calling the meeting, or act as clerk after the selection of a moderator. Okay, so the clerk calls a meeting to order like Roger did. And then qualified electors shall elect by acclamation through their numbers of judges, which we did. Okay? And why do you do that? Because we may have a vote pretty soon. We might have a vote pretty early. So we got to have some judges to determine qualifications here. And then qualified electors shall then proceed to elect one of theirs to serve as moderator. Okay, that's then the order it's supposed to go. Dale, real Dale now. In your township, you said you're the chairman and you get elected as moderator, you said? Go up on the mic there. Explain what you do.
Our clerk calls the meeting to order and your judges, moderator, I get elected to the moderator and run the meeting as moderator.
Okay, so he's the chairman of the township supervisors, but he gets elected as moderator. And of course, I know that a lot of townships, chairman runs the meeting, right? Here, the chairman's running the meeting. But he takes his chairman's hat off and he puts the moderator hat on, so he's technically correct. And there again, if you're looking at somebody's looking over your shoulder, if they know there's gonna be a problem, something they're gonna be controversial, they might fix that. Okay, so that township, they go through the proper procedure, and the chairman becomes a moderator. Question?
Do the election judges have to be residents of the township?
Yes.
So what if you only have 3 people plus the church?
Don't go there. We're in the dark. We'll talk about that because that is a looming problem. That's a huge problem. So we're gonna go there. You bet. Hang on to that second. Yes, ma'am.
So right away when you begin, the clerk called the meeting to order, so the supervisors are up there and they.
You gotta remember, we're sitting at this round table because they're on camera, okay? Normally they'd be sitting around, you know, they'd be sitting wherever they want to sit, you know, sitting in the back smoking cigarette, whatever they're doing, you know, so. In the old days, you know, drinking a beer, whatever, but yeah.
So just up there and then ask for nominations for the 3 judges. And
Yeah.
then they just belt out names and then they say, then you second it and all that kind of stuff.
Sure,
And then
sure.
they come up, take the.
Oh, the point is you should get judges first, and they should be sworn in. Because somebody will catch you on that too, you know. Now, just as an aside, political side. You know that you have controversy coming. You've got an election coming, you've got an excess levy coming, you got pros, you got the Hatfields and McCoys here. Then let's be proactive about picking judges here, you know. So I get all 3 from the Hatfields or all, you know. You gotta kind of wire that. Democracy only goes far sometimes. You gotta wire that. You gotta make sure you get truly neutral people, you know, that's try to get as neutral as you can. And here again, 99% of the time, you don't have any of that stuff. You just roll along and do it, you know, but all I'm talking about is those tough times when you gotta do things a little bit more by oil, so. Okay, I think, was that my last slide on that piece? I think it was. So, Martha, you got it.
Thank you for your confidence in me to be your moderator. The following shall be the order of business for this annual meeting of Normal Township. Am I supposed to read that?
Yep.
now?
Yeah, there's your order.
Reading. And approval of last year's minutes of the annual meeting, reports of the treasurer, supervisors and other officers, and any correspondence, old business, new business, sale of old Normal Township schoolhouse, Other discussion and approval of business of budget. Election of officers. Announcements and adjournment. I hereby announce that all questions upon motion made at this township meeting must be determined by the majority of the electors voting. I, as moderators, shall ascertain and declare the result of the vote on each question before we begin. I note that Joe is present, and my understanding is that he has moved to town and is no longer allowed to vote at this meeting. And Louise, landowner, is present, who is not a resident and will not be allowed to vote.
Hey, wait a minute here, I still own land in Normal. I still own land in Normal Township, and I still have a house out on the farm, which are my official residence.
The judges will determine if Joe is still a resident of Normal Township.
Okay, now I gotta have an ID. So, there you go, see, I'm still a resident.
Okay, good, good. All right, just a second here. Is that my stop? I stopped there. I think I did. Okay.
Let me stop right there. Let me stop right there. Okay, so a couple things went on there. Couple things went on. Opening of each meeting, the moderator shall state the business to be transacted and the order in which it must be entertained. Now, that's pretty important, okay, because what happens sometimes is guys will start wanting to talk about graveling this road, or they want to start talking about why the heck did that guy spend that money? Go in an order. Go in an order, because then you can kind of shut down some of that side talk, kind of shut down some of that stuff. Have an order of business. Just and the moderator can follow it. So that's a lot more orderly way to do it. Okay, and that's what you want to try to do. Resident, but it's moved to town. What do you do with that guy? Well, he came up with the judges, showed them his ID. ID still shows the farm address, I guess. And they looked at that, determined whether he had the 30-day residency, and they would know that. And so they're gonna let him vote. Okay. Now, in regular elections, when we vote for governor and vote for all like we just did, if you have a question of anybody, have any real elections, we have election judges in here from that thing. So if you have a questionable residency, what do?
Set aside.
Put them in the set aside. And we'll look at them later. So that ballot is set aside, and if it's proven up later that it's okay, then we put it into the hopper. Okay, that's how you do that. Problem is, in a township election, how do you do that? Because it's a meeting, right? And once we're done with the meeting, we're done. You know, so that's that process that we use for questionable residencies for governor and legislature, all that stuff we just did, doesn't really work very well for us. So that's about all you can do, I think. We got a questionable guy here. Let's see let's at least do that. Because once again, you know you got a vote coming. It's gonna be close. That vote might be the one. It's gonna give you trouble. Okay. So let's at least plan for that. You're kind of hoping it's not gonna be you're not gonna hope it's lopsided. You know, you're gonna hope it's lopsided. Let's plan for that in case somebody challenges him. Well, he's already been challenged and they've cleared him. So again, you got to kind of be cognizant, aware of what might be coming. We got Louise the landowner. Yes, we got Louise the landowner here. She's here. Okay, but and we'll talk to her a little later, but she can't vote because she's definitely not a resident. Question.
Okay, so on that driver's license, it still states his address is Anvil.
Yeah.
In the township. But we know he's been living in town for the last 3 months, time, whatever, so.
All you can go on is what he proves up, all you can do is go is what he proves up. That's all you can do, really, and so it's still dicey, I think, but what else can we do, because you can't set aside a ballot. You can't set aside a column, if I say you can't set, how do you do that? it's just impossible. So it's a piece of the law that just doesn't fit us. So all you can do is do what we just did, I think. Okay. What else? Was there anything else in that little piece? We did, I don't think so. Okay, so, well, why don't you see if Rodney still is Rodney still on the line here?
Can you still hear us, Rodney?
There you go. Okay, good, good. Okay, gotta check with him once in a while, so, okay. Okay, go ahead and start.
The clerk will read the minutes of the last year's meeting.
Full version.
You can shorten it up.
The annual meeting of Normal Township was held March 14th, 2024 at Timbuktu Community Center located within Normal Township. The North Dakota Century Code 150401 allows you, if you don't have a suitable place in your township, you can go to a city within a township or a suitable location in a adjacent township. The meeting was called to order at 1 p.m. by Township Clerk Olson. Clerk called for nomination of 3 judges. Pete Smith, Ole Olson, and Hildegard Hamhocker were chosen as judges. Oaths for them administered. The clerk called for nomination for moderator of meeting. Gabby Hayes was chosen to be moderator, and clerk turned meeting over to moderator Hayes after administering oath. Moderator Hayes announced order of business along with normal rules and who is eligible to vote at this meeting. Clerk was then called upon to read minutes of previous annual meeting, there being no additions or corrections. Moderator declared minutes approved as read. Moderator called upon treasurer to give financial report. Motion by Ole Olson to accept report, second by Don Moe. Motion carried. Old business. Paul Bunyan asked if Township was still looking for someone to clear trees in the township right of way. Supervisor Smith reported they have had some luck getting property owners to take care of this as it should be, but they are still working on the problem. There was more to do. Moderator called for new business. Supervisor Smith reported ABC Construction submitted gravel bid of $760 per yard to deliver to Township, and XYZ Construction gravel bid was $810 per yard delivered. Motion by Ole Olson to have ABC Construction take care of the graveling needs. Second by Pete Smith. Motion carried. Discussion was held on blading and snow removal. Motion by Don Juan to hire Olofson Construction to perform blading and snow removal. Due to many complaints of unsatisfactory and untimely performance by a previous contractor. Second by Joe Blow. Motion carried. Here again, North Dakota Century Code 58-05-12 has language in how a township officer can have an interest in a business that works for the township. The proposed budget for the coming year was discussed. Motion by Pete Smith to adopt budget as presented and levy $29,500 to cover needs. Second by Hildegard Hamhocker. Motion carried unanimously. Moderator then called for nominations for a supervisor for a 3-year term. Pete Smith nominated Joe Blow. There being no further nominations, moderator closed nominations and declared Joe Blow supervisor. And Mr. Blow, please get with the clerk and complete your oath of office. Moderator asked for any further business. Hearing none, moderated during the meeting at 3:15 p.m.
That was a short version.
Are there any corrections or additions? If not, I gotta wait.
Just keep moving.
If not, the minutes are approved. The treasurer will now give the treasurer's report.
And that's treasurer Tommy Treasurer there too. So give a short report. Short report.
Have you got your page up there?
It'll come.
Oh, okay. Normally the treasurer's report will have about 3 different documents that are turned in at the end of the year. And, but my short report here will be the beginning balance. There's one of them up there now. Beginning balance was $12,750. Receipts for the year, 25,400. Expenses for the year, 27,270. With leaving an ending balance of $10,880.
Okay, that's good.
Do the,
Oh, hang on, okay, okay.
That's another thing, that's allowed in the century code is the township can combine, offices of clerk and treasurer, same person can hold both those offices. Used to be not that way.
My treasurer volunteered to skip town, he left. But my treasurer volunteered this morning, he left, so that's why you're doing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's the report of the treasurer. This is on page, there's several of those pages in the back of your handbook. This is on page 214, is it? Yeah, page 214 of your handbook. There's a couple, 3 of those reports, and so clerks and treasurers, you know about these, but you supervisors out there, do you know about this stuff? I can't believe it. Sometimes I'll talk to a supervisor and I'll say, "What's your budget?" I don't know. It's a treasurer's job. No, it's not. You know, well, how much money do you have in your account? I don't know. You know, so it's out there. I mean, it's public record, but you need to know that stuff too. So there's some forms in the back of the handbook. Take a look at those, and that's the stuff that the treasurers and clerks know about. So, okay, I think we can go on.
do the supervisors have anything to report?
We gravelled 13 miles of road last year, put up 3 new signs, because the old ones were all shot up and didn't reflect at night. We put in 3 new culverts, coordinated with County Water Board on all 3. Got permission from Old Man Johnson to make a trail around his slough, so vehicles could get through without having to go around. We all went to the state township officers workshop and went to the state convention in Bismarck too.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. His report from the supervisors, and one of the things that I noted that he talked about a slough going around Old Man Johnson's, I'm sorry, a trail going around Old Man Johnson. Mr. Clerk, what do you put in your minutes about that? Are you gonna say there's a trail around Old Man Johnson's slough in your minutes?
they recorded the minutes, the precise section that goes in between 5 and 6. Because a few years ago, nobody remembers what Johnson Road is. So,
Yeah. And how many times have we've talked about it, and we'll go through old minutes and we'll slough around Johnson's farm, or that barn that used to be there, it's burned down now. I mean, all that kind of thing. You gotta be very precise in those minutes, because those minutes are gonna be looked at 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now. So you have to look back over your old minutes. They also put up stop signs, and I think we need new signs. We probably should have a listing someplace where those new signs are. That's your sign inventory that you need to have, and so there should be some notation of that. Hopefully the supervisors did that when they put up those new signs. So little aside there. Okay. We keep going, I think.
Is there any old business?
Is there any old business? Oh, Louise, she wants to talk. Just a second. Okay, good.
I'm wondering when the supervisors are going to get around to putting in a new culvert next to my land, like they said they would do last year. And I would like to make a new approach on the south side of my quarter.
Supervisors, what do you think about that? It's not in the script. You just gotta make it up. Come on.
We'll have to look at it, see what we can come up with for the culvert. And the approach.
You'll have to look at it. Is that all you're gonna say? Ah, what else would you say? This is a landowner. Louise, the landowner, she doesn't live there. She's not a resident. But she's come to the meeting. First of all, can she come to the meeting? Say yes, because it's a public meeting. Of course she can. Can she speak? Yes, as long as the moderator lets her, which the moderator did. Okay? You see, sometimes you'll get those out of town, those absentee landowners, they'll come and try to take over the meeting. Well, that's why you gotta have a gavel. So, okay, well, we'll let her talk, but she can't control the meeting. It looks like anybody can't control it, because that's why you have a moderator. Okay, so, but she's got a valid question. Absentee landowner, of course she can be there. Absolutely. What are you guys gonna do about this?
Right, well, we check once, if it's on the section line or half, or if it's a quarter line, whether the township is responsible for putting the culvert and approach in.
Okay, I mean, you're gonna give her some satisfaction from standpoint, you're gonna look at it again. She kind of gave a dig at you, because apparently she talked about this last year. Okay, so you gotta know that. What would you people do? Got a landowner comes in with a gripe. What do you do? What do you do?
Put it in minutes.
Put in the minutes, the landowner showed up, griped about, culvert from last year, and they want a new approach.
Ask them if they've applied for.
After they applied for it, then she'll say yes. She's talking to the supervisor. Okay.
Why wasn't it addressed last year?
What was that again, Rodney?
Hello?
No, I didn't hear you.
Why wasn't that culvert addressed last year? She brought it up and said you were gonna do it last year.
Supervisor.
Hello?
Straight up. They didn't have time. They didn't need time. Yeah, right. But these kind of things come up, you know, and so you gotta be kind of ready, obviously, for those. And coming from an absentee landowner, that absentee pays taxes. Goes in your budget, so you know, you represent them too. You remember that, you represent them as well. They gotta take care of their concerns, and I suppose if there was some action that the annual meeting could take, you could do it now, you can make a motion, I suppose, and you could do something like that if you want. And on the approach side, whether we're gonna have an approach, some townships, I don't know, have different policy. Some townships will pay for approach, some won't. So if you have something like that, then you should make sure everybody understands. We'll do one approach per half mile. And if that's your policy, then there it is. We put in the culvert, you put in the dirt work. There's all kinds of different arrangements, but that should be you should have a stated policy about that. So when you get an absentee landowner coming in, they know what the deal is. So, okay, we got done with it. Let me just run to this here. Powers of electors here, I just want to stop right here. 580307, there's a list of 20 some things here. 22 items that you people can do at an annual meeting. Take a look at that. The different things that you can and cannot do at the annual meeting. So it's pretty wide and pretty broad. So, okay, go ahead.
We will now proceed to new business. The first item is the sale of the old schoolhouse building.
I move we authorize the supervisors to proceed with a public sale of the old normal school.
I second the motion to sell the old school.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to authorize the supervisor to proceed to selling the old normal township schoolhouse as a public sale, say A, opposed, say no.
You gotta call it. Let's say it passed. Oh, it passed.
It passed.
No, that Rodney voted no, so.
Okay, note that Rodney voted no on the vote.
We'll talk about this here in just a bit, so just keep going.
Before we discuss next year's budget, is there any other items to discuss?
Go ahead.
Seems like supervisors were pretty busy last year. How much did they get paid?
All of our township officers get $25 a day, including when they go to meetings, workshops, and the state convention.
I move that our officers increase their compensation to $50.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to increase officers' compensation to $50 per day, say aye, opposed, say no.
I think.
Gotta ask
Motion.
for discussion 3 times.
I don't.
Don't you?
Nope. And besides, we wanna get it out of here by midnight, so.
Motion passed.
I move we snowplow people's private driveways.
Well, if we're gonna do that, we should snowplow all the Johnson subdivision too.
Well, we wouldn't have to do Rodney's because he's in Arizona for the winter.
Can't talk about that now. You stay down there.
You guys are supposed to fight a little more. Come on.
There's no reason why we can't provide this service to all of our tax-paying residents in the township.
You just wanna do it because you can hire yourself out and get the job done.
I open most of the roads anyway, so I might as well get paid for what I'm doing.
Yeah, but you don't do a very good job of what you do.
Well, just on the ones that I need for myself, I get a good job done on that.
Alright, your mother wears combat boots.
You can stop, you can stop.
We need this brought to order, moderator.
All right, you can do it.
Gentlemen, settle this in a way your mothers would be proud of you.
All right, let me stop there. Okay, let me stop. Couple things. And that'll happen sometimes. You get people start grinching and start talking and they go off topic. And so eventually the moderator's got to bring them back. That's why you have them order business. Don't let people do that. And I was hoping those guys were gonna start throwing a punch, but they wouldn't do it over there. So yeah, but yeah, you know what, that kind of happens sometimes. And you just can't allow that to happen. So you just gotta stop. Moderators gotta stop that and say, let's get back here. Let's get off of that. We'll talk about that later. What are we gonna do? Sale of the schoolhouse. That's one of the powers of the electors. If you sell property, you have to have on your minutes of the annual meeting a motion to allow the supervisors to make the sale. And the guy that buys the property is gonna wanna have a copy of those minutes. Because if you don't have a resolution at the annual meeting allowing the sale, that's gonna be dicey on title work here. So you have to make sure that the annual meeting brings up. The supervisors will handle the sale. But the annual meeting has to authorize them to do so. So that's one of those items buried in there. And colors of electors are everywhere. That one item is not on this list, but it's elsewhere in the code. Okay, it's elsewhere. What else do they do? Oh, they raise their compensation. Yeah. Any problem with the two guys raising their own compensation? Any problem with the two supervisors raising their own compensation? Go.
We did that in Streeter, but that was brought up at the annual meeting, was approved by the that came.
And that's what we're doing here, of course, but did they made the motion themselves? Any problem with doing that?
Yes.
It's probably not the best. It's technically probably okay because they're not supervisors today. They're residents. You're not a supervisor on annual meeting day. You're a resident on that day. So I suppose technically it's probably not good for them to do it. That probably would be better to have somebody else do it. But technically, I think it's okay. Go ahead.
Chairman, would he be the one that,
You don't have a chairman here.
moderator?
No, yeah, moderator's up here. Yeah, she can vote.
In our township, the chairman before me, he was the one that nominated or increased the monies.
Can't do that. Gotta be the annual meeting does do it.
In the annual meeting, he did.
But he's not the chairman at the annual meeting. Okay, he's moderator. Okay, and there it is right there. Township supervisor may receive, and this is any officer, may receive a compensation for services up to $100 a day. For each day necessary to vote it, the electors of the township shall establish a daily compensation rate for township supervisors and clerks and treasurer and everybody else, okay? That's, so this is the annual meeting. We don't have a chairman, we don't have supervisors today. We have residents and the moderators are resident, the judges are resident, okay? We're all equal there. And so couple things here. So the electors have to approve it. That'll be done at the annual meeting. And notice it's a daily rate. $20. It's a daily rate. And it's well, let's pay the supervisors $200 a year or $500, whatever you pay. It's supposed to be a daily rate. Okay, so that's in the state law, been that way forever. You got to increase to $100. That's a maximum. Okay, it's a maximum. So anybody getting less than anybody getting $5 a day? If you are, knock it off. Fred, you're not getting zero. Should get something, okay? Because you're all basically nobody's gonna get rich on this job. We're all volunteers, right? We're all volunteers, but you need to be compensated. You need to be compensated. And don't tell me you don't have any money, because I know you do, okay? I see those slides up there that come has money there. So nobody's gonna get rich on this, but you gotta give yourself some compensation at a daily rate. I think you were first. Go ahead.
Has there been any, how we got the meeting changed to any day in March?
Yeah.
Talk about that we could go away with this daily rate, because that's really hard, I think. Because you're doing things maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, rather than move it to that it could be an annual compensation.
No, well, I mean, we haven't talked about it. We haven't talked about that, but I suppose the idea of a daily rate is that because supervisors, they're officers, there's kind of catch as catch can. You get a phone call, you got to run out, take a look at addiction, so that you spend a half a day. Okay, so there's a half day. You come to this meeting, there's a day for you. Okay, so you should be paid for this. What's your daily rate? By the way, the township should be paying for your hotel and all of that as well. Sure. If I'm an absentee landowner, I expect you guys to show up and get trained. You represent me. You better show up and get trained. You better go to those workshops. You better do these things. Not only for your residents that are living with you, but how about those people that are paying taxes that live in Minneapolis or wherever? I mean, you represent them too. So yeah, and most of the time, the supervisors especially, they're out on the road, whatever, you can just start writing it down on a calendar. I went to see the Johnson Slough today, and you get a elevator's got them, you can get it. Was that a calendar? You don't even have to pay for it, so yeah. Carry them in the pickup. So yeah, we haven't talked about that, but daily rate, I think that's where we're at. Just gotta tell the guys, tell the people, just mark it down. Sure. Got a question over here.
I know the moderator can vote. Can the moderator make a motion or second the motion?
I think so. I don't know that, I don't know. That's a Robert's Rules question, and I never get too bound up on that, because everybody's equal. I don't know. Yes, I think they can. I think they can. No, it's they're all equal here. So yeah, it's just technically you like to have other people do it. Okay, I think. Did we have anything else on that piece of the discussion? I don't know if we did. We did that. We did the pay. Okay. Back to you.
Anything else? If not, the supervisors shall open the discussion on the proposed budget for the coming year.
The supervisors of Normal Township have discussed budget, and we feel that we need a budget of $22,000 to generate business activity for Normal Township.
I second the motion to raise the amount 22,000 for the general funds.
Is there any discussion on the budget as proposed by the supervisors?
Just roll it through.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye, opposed say no.
Rodney, how do you vote? Yeah. There you go. Yeah, hang on just a second. So obviously a budget would have some discussion. Obviously the budget would have some more discussion than that, but again, we want to get out of here by midnight. So but obviously that's where a lot of discussion would come, but we just want to roll Point is that a couple things here. Powers of supervisors, there's 19 things that the supervisors do, okay? There's a list there. One of those on that list is the supervisors will propose a budget. Supervisors do not approve the budget. This body does, okay? So, you know, there again, I know that gets a little mixed up sometimes too. There again, if you got people watching, looking over their shoulders, you know, the supervisors come with a proposed budget and then the people vote on it. And that's that whole town meeting idea. So that's really kind of a neat thing. So don't mix that up, you know, don't mix that up. The annual meeting is approved by the electors. No, I should have said this. I understand. We got about 50, 60 people here. How many have 50, 60 people at your annual meeting? What? It's at your annual meeting. There they are right there. There they are right there. But remember, they're not supervisors here. They had to make a report of supervisor, but they're residents, okay, that day. So they're equal to everybody else. And so they're acting as basically those 4 or 5 people are you people. And as you could be, you were there. Okay? So and once again, you have some controversy coming up, you're gonna have people there. Now, one township, I remember last year, they were arguing back and forth with nominees for officer. I said, how many people do you have there? Oh, we usually get 5 or 6 people there. What was the vote? 24 to 25. They all showed, 49 people showed up that day. Where did they do? Well, they've never been there. But that's the point. So no supervisors. But anyway, question. There we go. Sir.
Yeah, did the supervisors have a pre-meeting to set their proposed budget?
We would have what we had operated on for the budget for the year that we had established from the previous year, so we would report on that.
Did you have a pre-meeting to establish that proposed budget?
No, we did not.
Try another answer.
So what was?
Try another answer.
Yes, we did.
Right?
First, that was the supervisor.
Yeah, we have a supervisor meeting for the annual.
Supervisors meeting prior to.
Okay, propose the budget.
You're having deal, and you got to propose the budget, got to you know that we're gonna set everything. Sure. This meeting, or you're gonna. Absolutely. Absolutely. Every meeting is open to the public. Yes. And what about notice for that supervisor meeting? What about the notice for that, Fred?
Okay, another thing.
No, stay on the topic now. What about notice for that supervisor meeting? Supervisors are gonna have a meeting. What's their notice requirement? Notice the auditor. No newspaper publication required for that group, okay?
Yes.
And so they would notify the county auditor, we're gonna meet the Tuesday before. Because in the law, Roger, it's what, second, third, and fourth, isn't it? Used to be, yeah, it used to be at second, third, and fourth, and you could combine them all on the same day, but. So you have to have a meeting, and anytime the supervisors get together, there's no newspaper requirement, okay? They would have to get together. Okay, go ahead, Fred.
Is it legal to have quarterly meetings or supervisor meetings?
Absolutely. In fact, I encourage monthly meetings. I really do for supervisors. Reason for that is that you always have something to do, okay? And one notice per year, one letter per year to the county auditor is your notice. We meet the 3rd Friday of every month. There's your notice. You're done. And when you don't have regular meetings, you're kind of leaving your clerk treasurer out in the lurch. There's a bill to pay. Hey, they can get approval every month. That's what school boards do. That's what cities do. Everybody else does. Why don't we? Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
What happens if 2 people get nominated to be supervisors?
Hang on for that. That's coming. Yes. You didn't think I wasn't gonna give you a controversy, did it? But
Do you always have to have, like, even your monthly meetings within your township, or we're having to always use a public facility for our meetings?
you have to meet at the place that you regularly hold your meetings, okay? Or, some of those you wanna meet at somebody's house.
I guess what I'm asking is, we have availability to the Union Hall in Minot that is not in our township, so we usually meet at Verendrya Electric, which is in our township, but that sometimes becomes a challenge to get that place. So can we move our meetings to the Union Hall going forward?
I think as long as you have that in your notice. And in your annual meeting minutes, you would make reference to that, cause here's the deal with notice. Everybody's got that guy, you know what I'm talking about, there's one guy in every township, right?
Maybe two or three.
Right?
The one so.
The one that goes, yeah, there's one guy in every township that he's, that guy, I'll tell you. I just soon he not be here. But, remember, Paul has right, ask yourself this question, is there a way for that person to find out where our meeting is at? And if there is, you're done, okay? So it's not, so, okay, I gotta go look at the county auditor's website, they went to a different building, that's their job to find, as long as you put the notice out, then that's their job. If you wanna make it difficult for them, that's fine, but, yeah, I think you can move around, I think as long as you notify properly, and I would say, if the supervisor's gonna do that, I would also put that within the annual meeting minutes. Basically get approval from the group that you're gonna do that, so, yeah.
You, to be decided.
To be decided, I suppose you could do that, but still you need to, you gotta let people know where that is. And what am I gonna decide? Am I gonna decide that morning? That's probably not very, very reasonable, so. In the back there, yeah.
If you're gonna have a supervisor meeting, you say, all we have to do is notify the county, how far in advance do we have?
Reasonable notice.
What's that?
It's basically the same time as you give your members that there's going to be a notice. Give the notice to the county auditor at the same time. That's timely notice. It's purposely vague. Purposely vague, because if we had in the law, you gotta have 3-day notice, well, then 2 days, not enough. So I like that purposely vague, reasonable notice, so, and like Larry says, today is Tuesday, we're gonna have a meeting on Thursday, and then notify your county auditor today, right now. Yeah.
But if you're just having a supervisor's meeting, doesn't have to be posted publicly?
That's what the public know, it's posted at the county auditors, that's your public notice. That's your public notice.
What has to be noticed publicly in papers, just the.
Annual meeting requires newspaper notice, or a special meeting of this body. Anytime you get the residents together, you need to have newspaper notice.
Session meeting too.
Now, if some townships, and I've seen that, especially in our more Mary, Hay Creek Township, you got a lot of people. Do you publish your, some sort of shopper paper or something, or what do you do?
Just in the county official paper.
Okay, but your supervisor meetings, you do that too?
Yes, we would.
Okay. How many people you got? How many people in Hay Creek Township?
Over 4,000.
4,000 people living there, okay? Yeah, that's right north here. 4 or 5 out. Apple Creek's got 5, 6 out right down there, okay? So those bigger townships, they have supervisor meetings quite regularly, and they even go to one step further, they publish in the paper. Because that's what they want to do, and it makes sense because of all the people they've got, sure, okay? So nothing wrong with publishing in the paper, nothing wrong with doing it, but the supervisors technically don't have to, unless you have a policy that we want that done. Question.
Yeah, we need a county trail for our township and still get 4 people that before the secretary show up, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. You figure they could drink here.
Welcome to 90% of townships in North Dakota, yeah, sure. Let me go back. Going back.
What power does the non-resident landowner have to be heard at a meeting?
A non-resident landowner can be heard as long as the moderator, Robert's rules, as long as the moderator recognizes. And quite frankly, that's anybody. That's just because you're a resident, you just can't pop up and start talking. You have to be recognized by the chair of the meeting. Anybody. So, and oftentimes, the bigger townships, you'll notice that at school boards, they'll have time for public comment. Sometimes you'll see that. That's when the public can get up. So townships probably don't have to do that because we never have that many people. But say what? Let's keep going and we'll come back. Save the question. Let's just keep going. Figure where we're at. Go ahead.
Election of office.
Yeah, go ahead.
We will now proceed to the election of officers. Nominations are open for the office of supervisor for a 3-year term.
I nominate Frank for supervisor.
I nominate Mary for supervisor.
Are there any other nominations? As moderator, I now proclaim that the polls are now open and shall remain open for 1 hour. The name of the 2 individuals shall be listed on a paper ballot, and all qualified voters of this meeting shall proceed to mark their ballot. The clerk shall keep a poll list of all the individuals depositing a ballot with the judges.
Okay, all right, she pretty much gave out the procedure there. Names of the candidates are all on one ballot, so you gotta have paper ballots. Nobody does this, do you?
Yes.
But well, yeah, I'm glad to hear some yeses out there. And if you know you've got some controversy, you better do this right, because somebody will challenge you on it. So here's some paper ballots, and oh, these guys have already marked. I'm glad to see that. So okay, good, good. Paper ballots, both names are on there, okay? Where's my Arizona guy? Where'd he go?
But you went to Java. So
Well, that may be okay. Remember when we started this meeting, we asked him if he would waive his rights to a secret ballot, because when you vote, you have a written ballot, okay? I know we used to put them up in the blackboard, we used to do that, you know. All in favor of Kenny, say aye, we did that, sure, but there again, you know, if you're gonna have a controversy, don't do it that way, do it correctly. Because they'll challenge you on that, and so we got a paper ballot, both names are on the ballots, okay? So I'll give them to the judges here shortly. But what do we do with that guy on Arizona? What do we do with him? He did say he waived his right though. Said he waived his right to have a secret ballot. So I guess at this point in time, I would have to, the moderator would have to ask him, how do you vote? Where do you go? Well, it's Frank or Mary. Okay. Well, he is president. Under our law now, electronic, you can join meetings electronically. That's our problem. That is our problem for township. County commissioners, for example, they are required to do roll call votes, so they have to vote over the phone. City councils, they have to do roll call. By the way, interesting enough, supervisors are always supposed to do roll call votes too, okay, on their votes. But at a township meeting, you vote secretly. So how does a person on the phone do that? I don't know. No, it's not. That's why I'm making it up. All I'm saying is that I know I've got 2 people running here, okay? And I've got what happened? That guy's vote. We already took care of Joe, the guy that lives in town. We already took care of him. He's legal because these guys checked him out. Okay, he's legal, so he got the vote. And I'm kind of waiting for Rodney to come back. But anyway, so at this point in time, I think we'd have to ask Rodney on the phone because he waived his right to a secret ballot. Have to ask, we vote for it, Rodney, Frank or Mary. You'd have to tell us. And then the moderator here would have to mark his ballot and put it in the deal. Okay. If Rodney in Arizona would have said, no, I don't want to do that, okay, then he's not gonna be able to vote. Because he's I think you gotta do something with that person that's on the phone. Now, I know that there's on Zoom and there's Teams, there's some ways to do this, right? We could do, there's some apps you can do and there's a way to have a computer to, that's probably way ahead of what most townships can do, but because there is a way to do it. So we gotta take a look at it. That's a glitch in the law on how to do this. Regular elections, voting for governor, if you can't be there, what do? You vote absentee. No absentee voting here. Why not? Why is there no absentee voting at a township meeting? You don't know it's a meeting, you don't know the you don't know the kind of things, you don't know, so you have to be there. And so under our law, you can't be electronic. Hey, Rodney, how you been? Say, how do you vote? You said earlier that you would be okay to vote orally on the election, right?
Correct.
Who are you voting for, Frank or Mary?
What choice?
Frank or Mary?
Mary.
So I would go to the moderator, and the moderator would mark a ballot that says. And she would mark Mary, okay, and she'd do that. Nobody else would know, but we all know that because we heard him. And then what we do, we're gonna go over to the judges. And they're gonna count the ballot, right? Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously, we don't know who the nominations are, so our ballots will have no names.
Right, to do what I just did, wrote them up, just put the names on.
Yeah, they'll just write them on there with a pen, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
In the. Stuff.
Yep.
And the entity landowner that was in the meeting, clerk doesn't give that person the ballot.
Yeah, nobody, Louise doesn't get a ballot because she's an absentee, so, but she gave Joe one because he's there.
Question, Tom.
Yes.
They had announced that polls were open for an hour.
Yep.
Do they have to be open for an hour?
You have to announce how long the polls are open, and I don't know. That one I don't know. Larry, do you know? Roger, do you know how long the polls have to be open?
No.
Doesn't really say,
That's up for the township.
Say again, Roger?
It's up to the township.
Up to the township can do it, yeah, so I just picked an hour, I don't know, so every time.
As long as they say so, right?
Hey, Mr. Judge, what do you got here?
In your annual meeting notice, put it in there.
Yeah.
The hours that the polls will be open.
Yeah.
Polls will be open from 2 to 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Put that right in your annual meeting notice.
And then the moderator also has to announce it as well, so. Yeah. Mr. Judge, what do you got?
A tie.
Tie vote, okay. So what's the procedure for tie vote? What's the procedure for tie vote? What's the procedure for tie vote? Anybody? Flip coin? For 100 years was flip a coin. 100 years was a flip a coin, and then somebody got excited about that in the legislature. Well, that's kind of like gambling. I can't do that. So the law was changed. So what happens now? Now the judges have to pick one out of the hat. Pick one out of the hat for a judge. Who's the winner, Judge?
Mary.
All right, that's really how you do that. I don't think they flip coins anymore, and so, but see the problem? Tie vote. Guy on the phone in Arizona voted. A guy that we think moves to town voted, but we cleared him early on. We don't have to deal with that now. So somebody's gonna say, well, wait a minute, that Joey shouldn't have been able to know about it. Well, we already cleared him. We're clear. That guy in Arizona shouldn't be up. Well, we already cleared that. My own way here. I'm not sure if that's, I don't know what the right way to do it, but we cleared that. We've taken care of that potential problem already. Okay. And so we'll assume that the tie vote's proper. And the judges, you want to name all that? That's the process. Okay.
Mary is hereby declared elected to the position of supervisor for a 3-year term. Mary, you have 10 days to file an oath of office with the clerk.
And of course, we have to do an oath of office. Every person elected in this state, I don't care if township supervisor, city judge, town, city council, county commissioners, you have to have an oath of office on file. How many of you have an oath of office on file? Oh, that's good. What the heck is an oath of office? There it is right there. It's in the back of the book. It's in the back of the book. Here again, if you don't have an oath of office on file after 10 days, you can declare you vacant. We can technically declare that office vacant. And then we gotta we gotta fill that vacancy, so. And here again, somebody's looking over your shoulder, guy doesn't have a telephone office and that meeting was illegal, so there again, do that kind of stuff, that's good to do, we've heard several situations, where the elected person doesn't have an oath and they get challenged. Many of you know, I'm also, one of my additional duties, I'm the city judge in Mayville and Portland. And so I give township officer discounts on speeding tickets, but that's another thing. So one of my colleagues in a neighboring town, he had held court and found the guy guilty of whatever it was. And then the guy was found guilty, was pretty perturbed and went back and that judge didn't have his oath of office signed. Guess what? The conviction got thrown out. So that kind of stuff happens. So real simple thing to do, just get the oath of office signed.
The oath of office is administered by the clerk for the other officers but the oath of the clerk has to be notarized.
Yeah, so you gotta go find a notary. So. For the clerk, okay. I think you can finish. Go ahead.
Is there any other business to come before the meeting? Are there any announcements? If not, this annual meeting of Normal Township is adjourned.
Hey, we did it. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's give our actors, not for primetime players, give them a hand here. Hey, thank you. Again, supervisors up there. All right, some questions maybe, sir.
Why would the moderator, for what reason would a moderator not let a non-residence landowner speak?
Because he's crabby. The problem, and I'm pulling your leg a little bit, but there's some people out there that'll just try to take control. They're the big farmer, they'll try to take control and they'll just take over the meeting. The reason they take over the meeting is because you let them. So I think, obviously, it's a public meeting, public comment, but that's any meeting. The chair recognizes the person to talk. You got a couple minutes. Okay, I got to shut you down here. We got to keep going. You got to take control, and you can tell some people just get wild about stuff, and they just got to stop. So you have a right to be there. You have a right to comment, but we can't let you go on for an hour and a half either. Fred.
Yeah, the problem that I had on my ship one time, I don't know if I mentioned to you before, I had one supervisor that passed away when I was on vacation, okay?
Supervisor passed away, okay.
And the other one told me as soon as I get back, he's resigning. So I had to call a special meeting to get 2 supervisors then elected again. And I had to go through the newspaper and then county auditor to publish a special meeting at that time to have 2 new supervisors elected at that time. I was put in the spot there, and I hope that nobody put themselves in the spot like that too. Because I had one supervisor, he passed away when I was on vacation. The other one told me, when I get back, you're gonna be resigning too.
Well, Fred, you should have gone on vacation. Two things there. If you have a vacancy in an office, 2 ways to fill that vacancy. What are the 2 ways? A special meeting of the township. That means so another publication, a special, the moderator, the whole ball of wax. Of course, you're not going to do budgets. So all the only purpose of the special meeting is the election of a supervisor. Okay, it's a short meeting. Okay? In fact, your agenda, your notice in the paper has to say that, and that's all you can do. Can't do anything else. Okay, what's the other way to fill a vacancy?
Your regular monthly meeting.
The remaining 2 supervisors can appoint to fill the unexpired term. Okay? And same thing with the clerk. So if one of your officers, I'm not going to kill you off. I'm just saying the office is vacant. Okay, so if the office becomes vacant, then the remaining supervisors can appoint to fill out the term. Okay, or go through the process. You lost 2 of them. A better thing to done there before that guy resigned would have been to appoint the vacancy of the deceased guy. Then now you'd have two again, and then you could appoint to fill the vacancy of the guy that resigned. So there'd have been a better way to do that. Don't let the guy resign until he appoints his replacement. Yes, sir.
And the clerk. Do they have to live in the township to be clerk? Or can they live in? Like piece of property is being annexed to another.
The clerk does the question, does the clerk have to be a resident of the township? Yes, because the clerk is an elected officer. If you're an elected officer, you have to be left to live, okay? The deputy clerk, because the clerk can appoint a deputy does not have to be a resident. So I don't really want to do this clerk stuff anymore, but I got a whiz bang a person over here in the town. I'll appoint them to be a deputy clerk. I'll stop to sign all the paperwork, but that's the one that's gonna do all the bookkeeping. Sure. So that's another way to do it. Now, you asked the second question. We're gonna annex, maybe we're gonna expand our area. And if you do that, then of course now they are a resident of our town. They can be an officer, sure. Yes, ma'am.
So did I miss where they voted on the mill levy?
That was our budget. That way, you missed it because we rolled through that real fast, so. Yeah. We moved through that real fast, that money stuff, because it would take us an hour to do that, so, yeah.
You're supposed to talk about, decide where the next, years or the notices are going to be posted and.
All that stuff is fair. All that stuff is fair to be in the annual meeting, absolutely.
All under a new business?
Sure. Or announcements, sure. Once again, how am I supposed to find out, what township are you? Morton Township. So if I want to find out in Morton Township, what they do, I could go get your annual meeting. They're public, I could get them, I can figure out what you guys did. For something, sure. Yeah, and that's, anything like that's fair game. Absolutely. Julie.
So why would I have monthly meetings if I can just pay the bills every month?
You can do that, but do you ever get any bills that are a little questionable? Say yes. Okay. So you have a question. You have a questionable bill. Do I pay this or no? Because it's doggone Richard, Lenny, and Dale. Those guys went out and put a fear attack with doggone guys after me. Doggone, they charge. Okay. But maybe that's not. Well, you probably should pay it, but would it be nice for you and the treasurer to have some approval of that? Because it's otherwise it's on your show. What'd you pay that for, Julie? Oh. Yeah, right. All right, Roger.
Check, all payments from townships are required to have 3 signatures. By the centrical and two signatures by the state bonding fund.
And they gotta have 2 signatures by the state bonding fund, so. Probably not, Coach. Yeah. And then when you got credit cards, that's a dangerous thing to have out there too, it really is. We've heard some horror stories about that, but I just think if you have a monthly meeting, the treasurer can get some bills paid if they have to. Maybe Louise, the landowner, rather than having her to wait for a March meeting, she could have come last June at the regular meeting, the regular monthly meeting. Because it makes it a little easier for public to be there, because and then you get those guys that get on the phone, and they're gonna at 10:30 at night, they're gonna call you and then come on. Tell you what, I'm gonna hang up now because you can come to our meeting, which happens to be next week. So that helps that guy too, to have a monthly time. All right, what else? Sir, over here.
What's the scope of a supervisor's meeting? What can they talk?
What can a well, you can do really, your job is to pull that page up for me. See, your job is to do all the things. 5806, here's 19 things. Manage and control the affairs of the township, not committed to other companies. That's a pretty broad statement, okay? Drawer of the township treasury, recommend electors expenditures, appoint the township overseer of highways, purchase, and you're also the road, you're in charge of the roads, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do, you know, so probably the thing to do there is take a look at powers of the electors. You don't have that power, you know, that's, maybe look at the other way, what is it I can't do? What is it that what's good, what has to be done at the annual meeting, and then you'll know, everything else basically is fair game, fair game. Can't set the budget proposal, sure.
Okay, I gotta get back to the daily rate,
I did skip some people too, I'm sorry about that, go ahead.
but like we do is we just get $500 a year, the entity.
Okay,
Is that?
on a daily rate,
So we should consider.
you know what the answer's gonna be to me. But having said that, I know that's everybody does, I know that, sure, $500, but so, what you probably should try to do, and again, so you get audited. Somebody comes looking at, what the, these guys do for $500, well, here's their calendar. Oh, okay, you know, so, you know, and it's good accounting, I think, it's just good accounting, principle to do that, and just, and probably what you wanna do is $500, you know, how many hours you put in a year? How many hours you put in a year? 50, sounds like $10 a day. That's what that sounds to me. If he says, well, I'm gonna work 50 hours a day, we'll give you $10, that's $500. So there you just working backwards, you got the daily rate. A little low, I think. If they're not doing anything, then they don't put on a bill. I mean, they got a bill for that, alter for it. You know? Just because you give them $20 a day doesn't mean they get it if they don't do anything. So that's just your daily rate, and that's your budget. So but they still have to alter for it, sure. And if I didn't know the way to do that, they gonna get me $500. I worked 50 hours last year. There you go.
So, difference between an officer and a supervisor, and it's one, newer than the other, and like, what should we use?
Difference between an officer and a supervisor. A supervisor is an officer, but an officer is not necessarily a supervisor. So think about your officers. You got 3 supervisors, you got a clerk, a treasurer, zoning officer, a road overseer, maybe who's one of the supervisors, you might have a dog, I don't know what you got out there, but so those are all officers. But so when we talk about officers, we're talking about the 3 supervisors, traditionally the 3 supervisors and the clerk and the treasurer. Last several years, we have added that zoning administrator as an officer as well, who's typically appointed, not elected. So, but if you're talking specifically supervisor, then we're only talking about 3 or 5. Do you have 5? 5. You have 5. Yeah. Reed Township, you got 5. Okay, so you can go to 5. But there again, you know, bigger population, so yeah. Yes, sir.
So do the clerk get the $100 a day if that's what you approve? Paid in addition.
The clerk also has a similar paragraph about their daily rate as well, okay? And so that's typically the same. And you know, the clerk could get some mileage and there's some other. Roger, clerk and clerk voucher for additional compensation, Roger, for clerk work, other than the daily rate.
Yes.
Okay, so is it for mileage and per diem and things like that? Yeah.
In our township, it's just been once a year, they give them $400.
Sure.
Like that.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that, and there again, I suspect 90% of townships do this. They give a lump sum. And all I'm saying is do an accounting for it. That's all I'm saying. And do what I just did. So you work 50 hours. That sounds to me like $10 a day for $500. So that's simple to put down. You know? So that's big. You would write that down in a piece of paper, and there it is. Because the daily rate is how you. Like an hourly rate, daily rate. So yeah, but if you want to pay him lump sum at the end of the year, that's fine. You can pay him $500 just to have him accounting for it. How did we arrive at this $500? Well, I worked 50 hours.
What does he get the daily rate for attending a meeting like this? And
yes,
and get the $400 at the end of the year?
Well, $400 is not. That's the daily rate. That's the sum of the daily rate. No, it's not $400 extra. $400 is computed at a daily rate. So $400, if this guy worked 50 hours at for $400, that'd be what, $7, $8 a day, right?
Okay, I'm doing this,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think they've been getting $100 for the mediac, you know, daily rate. And at the end of the year, they got an extra check for doing all the bookkeeping work.
Sure, I know that, yeah, but that should be computed at a daily rate. That's all I'm saying. The law says you have to, the law says, again, just work backwards and say, okay, if you got $100, then you got 4 extra days. Just work backwards, because they're, again, you get audited, they're gonna watch, they're gonna say, what's your daily rate? You know, and if you don't have it, then there's a ding. Just work backwards, whatever you pay, just work backwards and say, okay, this works out to so many hours, so many days. All right.